Welcome back to a new technique review here on the second channel, where I will be reviewing your technique and then hopefully you and all the other viewers can learn from it. We are reviewing Insta360 footage. Insta360, obviously a 360 camera with which you can capture your action all around, and it's really helpful to see what you're doing, obviously to capture your memories. And Insta360 is sponsoring us. They are one of the brands who have been supporting us for a long time. They are helping us to make all the videos possible. This one here as well. So we are super proud to, once again, partner up with them. If you want to get yourself one, we will link my affiliate code in the description. You will help us tremendously if you use the code whenever you want to get yourself an Insta360 camera. Highly recommended, super easy to use, insane quality. You will see it just now. And we are going to start our first reviews. Today we want to focus about the posture, about how to improve our posture, to go faster, to get more control. And don't forget, this won't be the last Insta360 technique review, so be sure to send us your footage. You don't need any storage space. We have the link down below where you can just upload the footage. Make sure it's the original Insta360 files, and provide us with a little bit of information about yourself, about your level and the gear you're using. We're also going to look at some of my footage to compare it to, and we're starting with 3 friends from Miami. So here we have Albert, Jose and David, who are saying, "Hey Nico, hope you're doing great. We've really been enjoying your new series analyzing windsurfing videos. It's super insightful and fun to watch. Thanks for that. We're sending you 3 clips, one from Albert, one from Jose and one from David. We all windsurf here in Miami and thought it'd be cool to get your take on a few of our sessions. Thanks for all the great content you share. We genuinely appreciate the time and energy you put into it. We also appreciate you sending your footage." We're starting with Albert. Super cool. You guys are using the harness mount. This is obviously a bit of a bothersome mount to sail with because it bounces around, but the view it gives is just perfect because we can really see what's going on around you. And all of the gear, what we can't see in this mount is the position of the legs. So that's something that's super important. You're blasting here with your friends, super cool. But what we can see is, for example, we can see the position of your hands and arms. I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. And we can see that you have your hands really close to the harness lines. And this is one of the key tips I often give, is to not grab too wide. With a wide grip, you're really shortening your reach. So the more you bring your hands together and close to the harness lines, the further you can bring the sail away from you, the more upright you can have the sail and the more efficient your sailing will be. Obviously, this requires a lot of confidence in your gear and some control, because obviously wider grip is kind of a secure thing. That's what people tend to do to kind of leverage the sail better and use more strength rather than technique. So good technique. We also see the undergrip on your hand that provides lift, brings the nose a bit higher, especially in light wind. That's very helpful. So this is really good. What we can also see here is that your hip is very low to the water. So that's great to create leverage on the fin. So let's zoom in here. We can see your hip is near the water. It allows you to create a lot of leverage, kind of like a wedge against the fin. We can see that the upwind rail of the board is lifted. That's also really good because you catch less of the chop, because the chop obviously always comes in the direction of the wind. So it kind of hits your board from the side. So when the upwind rail is lifted through the pressure of the fin, it allows you to rail the board and to catch less chop. This is something you can still improve to control, because if we play the video, we see there's still a lot of moments where you actually catch the chop. Here you can see that actually the whole rail bounces in the water. It's something that you can tremendously improve with a really good fin, because a really good fin gives you direct feedback and you can control the board better and keep it on the rail, as we saw before. But also it's practice. It's about scanning the chop in front of you. When the chop passes, you need to be sure to lift the rail of the board a little bit more. So to increase the pressure just before you get to the chop. So as we can see here, you're just running into the chop right now, and this is where you lose a lot of speed, so right in this moment. So right before this moment, you want to increase the pressure a bit for the nose to come a bit higher and the rail to lift a bit more, so you don't actually catch all of that chop. So this is already quite an advanced technique. Your technique is great, and I'm looking forward for you to focus on that and hopefully get a little bit more speed out of it, a little bit less bouncing. But I can see it's a choppy spot. It's not easy, and you're getting overtaken here by your friend, which maybe we will see in the next video. So here we have David, awesome view with the Miami skyline in the background. We've also windsurfed there, so we know how amazing the waters there can be, warm water, and he's blasting on his RS1 convertible kit. Cool, we just saw him overtake his friend. David is also 10 pounds heavier, so around about 5 kilograms heavier than his friend. So once you're powered up, weight helps you to get more leverage on the fin and to eventually go faster. What we see in comparison to your friend is that you sail much more upright. Okay, so you can see his legs here in this shot, right? In the other shot before of Albert, we couldn't actually see his legs because his hip was much lower to the water. And that always depends a bit on how powered up you are, right? So the more you're powered up, the more you can drop lower to the water, the longer you can make your harness lines. And when it's light wind and you're kind of struggling to plane, you want the harness lines to be short and to be a bit more upright on the gear. I can see that you're powered up here, so I definitely recommend you to try to lengthen your harness lines so you can drop your hip a little bit lower and create more of that wedge here against the rail of the board, and therefore get a bit more speed out of your board. But you're flying the board well. You're hitting probably a little bit less chop than Albert, which is why you're probably going faster than him, I reckon. Like I said, the weight helps as well, but I think you can still get more speed out of it by dropping a little bit lower, leverage the fin more, and keep the board flying as you do, because you're going well. I can see that most of the time the board is only touching the water up until the front foot strap, most of the time not in front. For sure less than with Albert, and I think that makes a big difference in the speed. And now we actually go to the last one of the three, which is Albert. I confused your names before, so I started with Jose, then we went to David, and now we're going to Albert. I got a bit mixed up with the footage, apologies for that. I think you understood what I was trying to say, and we're going to the last of the three, again with a harness mount. Like I said before, you cannot always see the legs so well on this mount. So the simplest and easiest mount really is the heavy duty clamp. That's the one I have here. We will also link that down below. It's not so expensive. You can mount it to the end of your boom, to the front of your boom. We really like the tail end of the boom at the moment a lot, and that will give you a much better view on actually the posture and the legs. But here we can see David, who is also on the RS1 convertible sail, and he's going really well. So we see the board flying a lot. We also see him quite upright. You could also try to lengthen your harness lines by just maybe 2 inch, just to make them a little bit longer, kind of get accustomed to it, just so you can drop your hip a bit lower, and again put more pressure on the side of the board, on the rail, because right now your pressure comes a lot from the top. Do you see that right here? So you're almost upright on the board. That feels controlled. You can rail the board nicely and kind of stay in control, because we can see your board is flying well, but is not going to give you that afterburner. It's not going to give you that grunt and that speed. We can see here you do it a little bit more, but quite often you really still drop upright into that upright position. That's where you will lose your speed. So I think for all the three of you, focus on that. I think that still the best one of the three of you with that technique was Jose. Heads off to all of you. You're all going well, you're all going strong. Super cool that you have a friendship group of you guys in Miami that you can push each other with. Awesome footage. Focus on railing the board, keeping the board out of the chop, in the way out of the way of the chop, and keep pushing, keep pressing the side of your rail, push the fin, and that's what will give you the speed. And next time use the different mount so we can see what you're doing with your legs. Just as a comparison, this is the exact angle I was speaking about. From behind here we can really see what happens with the legs. And this is a moment I want to show you. It wasn't very strong, the wind, so some of the points I was trying to explain you cannot really see here. But what we can see is the moment I pass the chop and how I apply more pressure to the board and the fin to pass the chop, to not dig in with the rail of the board, but rather, yeah, to kind of pass over it without catching it. And that's what you can see in this exact moment here. Here you can see, this is the moment where I pass the wave and you see the legs are extending, I'm applying more pressure to the board. I'm even lifting a bit the board in the front with my front foot. And that's how I pass the chop right here without catching the front of the board. Okay, so we can leave it running for you a little bit so you can see again. It all happens very fast, that's why I showed it to you slowly. But there's a lot of work with the board all the time, just to pass the chop. Extending the legs, shortening them, extending them, shortening them. Just adapt to the power that the chop gives you, and to make sure you apply pressure in the right moment, just to lift the rail that little bit that passes you over the chop. And once you passed it, you go back into default posture. And then we have a Christian Skotte from Norway, who is actually someone who has participated my clinics before and is also joining us in Bonaire this December. It's going to be really cool, looking forward to that. If you guys want to join one of my experiences of my clinics, be sure to check the link below. We're going next year to Tenerife, to Lake Garda, to Turkey and to Bonaire again. Be sure to join us. I will give a lot of more feedback and a lot of more tips than I can do here in the videos. But this is Christian and he's using that exact mount that I just showed to you also with myself. Here we can see a lot in the legs. So let's look at Christian, who's also pulling the front leg, perhaps a little bit too much. It looks like he has to really pull extremely hard. Perhaps this can be a sign that the board doesn't have enough lift and he has to kind of create that lift and lift the nose up by pulling so hard with the front foot. At the same time, we can see that Christian is also using quite short harness lines. We only have this short bit here before he goes into the jibe, but I really like this view. It helps us to understand what's going on. So his arms are not extended, he's very close to the boom. His legs are quite angled, and as you can see, a lot of the pressure comes down on the board rather than from this side. So that's an indication for me that the harness lines are too short. So Christian, try a little bit longer harness lines, and as you extend the harness lines, your hip should drop a little bit lower to the water. This will help you to extend your arms a little bit more and not to be so close to the gear. So your hip will be further away from the gear, which gives you more leverage on the sail. It allows you to control the sail better, while the sail will stay upright and straight because your hands, your arms become longer. And that will also allow you, rather than having that position that you see here, so we call it in a way the toilet position, because your hip is low, but your legs are not extended. The back leg always has a bit of an angle here between the upper leg and the lower leg, just so you can work a bit with the chop, but the front leg should be much more extended. And that's the position you will get in if you do that. And then we also have a video from you from the front where we can see your arms. And this is great because we have two angles from you. We have the back, we can see the legs, and we have the front, we can see the arms. And we can see that your arms are quite far away from the harness line. So you have a very wide grip in opposition to what the guys in Miami are doing. And I will advise you to bring your arms a bit closer together. It will help with the longer harness lines that we just spoke about before. And that should give you better speed potential and hopefully also a bit more control, because it looks quite windy here. You look powered up. Nice spot, by the way, going into the jibe, and the jibe is something we will save for the next video. Just to show you guys once again that I also try to do what I preach myself. We have this footage from me here. It's quite choppy. It's hard to see in this kind of footage and angle. It's really choppy. You can see it with the guy behind, and you see that Also here, it's a bit distorted. My leg looks a bit bent, but actually is quite straight, the front leg. And the back leg is always working. So it goes from straight to angled. Front one is pushed through, stretched through. Nice little jump here. We can see harness lines are quite long. My arms are pretty extended, close to the harness line. So all the pressure goes onto the harness lines, and it's mostly controlled. The sail is controlled by my body and less so by pressure I have in my arms. Very little pressure on my hands. They're really just kind of controlling a little bit, but most of the pressure goes into the harness lines, and that allows me to extend my hands, drop low near to the water, which gives me a lot of leverage on the sail and gives me good speed and control. And with that said, that is it for the technique review for today. Like I said before, send us your footage. You don't need any storage space. You just drop it in the link below. Send us a little bit of information. Let us know if you liked it in the comments. Let us know if these are things that helped you as well and things that you are struggling with. It's kind of the same things repeating all the time. So there's a few key mistakes that a lot of guys are doing, but still I think it's good to be reminded every now and then, and it's also good to see it. It's good to learn from mistakes that others are doing. That's how you improve. So hope you enjoyed it, and I see you guys in the next video. Be sure to grab your one in Insta360. We will drop the affiliate link down below.